Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're tackling something huge. Truly ambitious. The European Union's plan to digitally connect its entire education world. But we're not just going to list off policies. Nope. We're going to look at this like we're architects, breaking down the actual blueprint for how it's all being built. Okay, let's get into it. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get a bird's eye view of the whole blueprint. Then, we're going to build this thing from the ground up, layer by layer, starting with the rules, then the infrastructure. After that, and this is the crucial part, we'll see how it all connects, and we'll finish up with a super practical checklist you can actually use. All right, so this is the million-dollar question, right? How on earth do you do this? Well, the EU's answer is actually pretty clever. They're not trying to build one single massive platform to rule them all. Instead, the whole strategy is to create a shared digital ecosystem, a space where all the different systems that already exist can start talking to each other securely and smartly. To really get our heads around this, we got to put on our architect hats. We're not just looking at a finished building and saying, oh, that's nice. We're going to examine the whole structure, from the concrete foundation all the way up to the roof, to see how every single piece is designed to support the next. Okay, let's start at the very bottom. Layer 1, the foundation. Before you can pour any concrete or put up any walls, you need two things. First, a set of rules everyone agrees on. That's the building code, or in our case, the laws. And second, you need a common language, a shared dictionary, so all the different builders can understand each other perfectly. Now, I know what you're thinking when you see a slide like this, a list of regulations. Kind of dry, right? But hang on, because these are the absolute rules of the road. They're the legal guardrails that guarantee that anything built for education across the EU is secure, it's accessible, and most importantly, it's designed from day one to work with everything else. And the real keystone holding all those rules together is this, the Interoperable Europe Act. Think of it as the master plan for the whole construction site. What it does is it basically forces all public services, universities included, to prove that their new digital toys can play nicely with others across borders. It makes cooperation a mandatory feature, not just a nice-to-have. So we have the rules. Now we need that shared language. And this is where it gets really clever. The European Learning Model, or ELM, think of that as the grammar. It gives you the sentence structure to describe any kind of learning. But a grammar needs words, right? That's where ESCO comes in. ESCO is the dictionary. It's the official list of terms for skills, for jobs, for everything. You put them together and suddenly a university in Portugal can read and perfectly understand a credential from Poland. It just works. All right, let's move up to the next layer in our blueprint. The foundation is poured, the rules and language are set. Now we can start building the actual framework. And this layer is all about two key things. First, proving who you are in this digital space, and second, laying the digital plumbing that lets all the different systems actually connect. Identity is all about trust. Right now, we have systems like EduGain and My Academic ID. They create a trusted way to log in and give every student their own unique European student identifier. That's the present, but the future, and this is a real game changer, is the EUDI wallet. Soon, every EU citizen will have a digital wallet on their phone where they can hold a verified official student status. Think about that. Instant proof anywhere you go. And that brings us to the plumbing. Erasmus Without Paper, or EWP, is the absolute workhorse of this entire ecosystem. It's the unsung hero. It's not an app you open. It's a network that hums along in the background, letting a university in Italy talk directly to a university in Sweden, automatically sending things like learning agreements back and forth. It turns a mountain of paperwork into a simple, secure data exchange. Okay, so we've looked at the individual bricks and pipes. We have the foundation, we have the framework. Now for the really cool part. This is what it's all about. Seeing how these pieces all snap together and depend on each other to make the whole building actually stand up. This slide right here gets to the absolute heart of it. The key thing to see here are the dependencies. Look at the EWP network. It's useless without My Academic ID for logging in. Or look at the Europass credentials. They don't mean anything without the ELM data model giving them structure. The biggest takeaway is that none of these pieces are solo acts. They are all part of one single interconnected system. Let's make this real. Imagine you're a student going on Erasmus. First, you use your university login, your My Academic ID, to get into the app. Simple. While you're doing that, in the background, your home and host universities are already exchanging your learning agreement over that EWP network. No paper. When you arrive on your new campus, your European student card validates you instantly. And at the end of it all, your transcript is issued as a secure digital credential that pops right into your wallet. See? Every single layer we talked about working together seamlessly. So that's the grand plan. The blueprint is there. But what does this actually mean for you if you're working at a university or a ministry of education? Well, this amazing digital building doesn't construct itself. So let's look at a practical checklist for how you can start connecting your own institution. Here it is, your roadmap. Step 1, nail down identity. Get live with EduGain and the European Student Identifier. Step 2, get connected to that EWW network and automate mobility. Step 3, start issuing modern European digital credentials. Fourth, make sure your students' data is portable by joining a network like EMREX. And finally, bring it all full circle. Make sure you're compliant with those legal rails we started with. This is your path. I really want to leave you with this one quote because it perfectly sums up the entire philosophy here. This project is not about building giant central databases of student records. No way. The goal is much smarter. It's about securely sharing just the tiny bits of information needed, the metadata, to prove something is true. It's more secure, it's more efficient, and it respects privacy. So the big takeaway is clear. Just being digital isn't the finish line anymore. The future isn't just digital, it's interoperable. It's about being connected. The EU has laid out the blueprint. The tools are ready. The only question left is, are you ready to connect? Thanks for digging into this with me.